Prince. Tank Top Mike is trying to not burn down his whole work area at work, so he's going to take the night off to collect himself. But tonight we're going to talk about a couple trades we happened in the league and a couple things that happened in the NFL league. Welcome to the show, Marky Mark. Nice to see you.
Yeah, nice to see you. We missed a little bit of time again, so good to be back on here. Sorry that Mike couldn't be with us, but we'll do our best to hold it down without the star of the show.
Did you hear that? That was
What?
everybody turning off the show because Tank Top Mike isn't
Oh,
here.
tank top's not on. I'm watching it. Turned it off 30 seconds in.
He is better looking than both of us, so
Well,
I can
true. But
I
they,
can get behind that, I guess.
they bitch when we don't do it, and then we do it and they bitch. I think they really want us to do it just so they can make fun of us. So, but hey, we're
Yeah, I
here for
totally
the.
agree.
I'm here for the league, man. I mean, that's, you know, God bless you. That's what a good commissioner does is he sets himself up for ridicule from the rest of the league, right?
Ooh, I'm wearing my Justin Jefferson LSU #2 jersey in
Nice.
honor of Justin Jefferson being ranked a 99 on Madden.
Yeah,
Yeah.
top dog. Of course, that means a whole lot in the NFL. So
He's pretty good on my team.
yeah, it's a good indicator. It's a good indicator.
All
Just
right, what are we
be
going to talk about first there,
yeah,
Primo?
we're going to do a little bit of quicker show, but we're going to talk about the running back situation today with the franchise tag deadline
Okay.
expiring. We'll touch on DeAndre Hopkins for a quick moment, and
Okay.
then we'll go over 3 trades that we've had. So finally getting a little bit of action going here. Couple weeks out of training camp. So
Yeah, let's go.
we'll talk about some of that. Yeah, let's start off with the franchise stuff. So today, I know you saw that Saquon and Jacobs both did not sign their franchise tag at the
Yep.
4 p.m. deadline. Um, Thought we'd talk about those two and one who did in Tony Pollard, and we'll just kind of quickly hit on each one and what it means for these guys. Um, do you want to start off or make a comment on anything, or do you want me to go into some of what I got here? I don't have
Well,
I have a little bit prepared, but not a bunch, you know.
well, I'm sure everyone that is watching this show and has listened to me gripe about stuff would know that I don't know much about the CBA, but a very good source, Tank Top Mike, said that it's pretty dumb to sit out with the new CBA, and I don't know why, but I just blindly follow him, so maybe you can shine a little light on that.
So to go into a little more detail about why he might think it's dumb, um, neither one of them can now sign a long-term deal. So that they have to wait until after the season now to try to negotiate a deal, and so that's part of what the going past the deadline means.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so their choices now are to sign and play for $10,091,000 for this year.
That's the franchise tag,
That's the
right?
franchise tag. Yep. Um, or um, sit out because they're not on a contract until they sign that. So I guess the only real leverage they have, and you might remember going back to Le'Veon, is that they don't have to go to training camp. They're not going to get fined because they're not on a contract. So there's no money to fine them, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it really the owners definitely have the leverage here with this franchise tag thing. So I don't know, they Jacobs has talked about sitting out to help the future generations of running back. I think Saquon is just a little more. I don't think he's looking at it that way, but I think it's more about him wanting to
Hi.
secure some money because he's kind of running out of time. So if you want to getting specific about Saquon, he is 26. He'll be 27 February 9th. So going into next season, he'll be 27 years old. He's had, he's got a bit of an injury history. You know that from the 1 year you drafted him high and he kind of burned you in a league. Um, and so, yeah, his is a little more tricky because I think he'd be risky to sign to anything
Hmm.
long term next year. And so, yeah, going back to Mike saying it's stupid, then if there was talk that he could have gotten 22 million um, by signing for 2 years with the Giants, which really is this year's franchise tag, and then next year's perceived franchise tag, which will be a little over 12 million. He could have gotten
Right.
22 million for the 2 years. Maybe he would have been better off because if he gets injured now, he's not going to get signed. If they can franchise him again, and he'd play for it anyway.
Right.
Um, if he gets hurt though, then he doesn't have any guaranteed money. And there was talk that they were saying, I don't know, this was conjecture, but that they were saying they would guarantee him the 22 million because it's the equivalent of playing on the franchise tag 2 years. So his comments was all about the guaranteed money. So he's to me he's the one that has the most to lose in all of this of the three that we're going to talk about. What do you think about some of that stuff with Saquon?
Well, yeah, I'm trying to understand all of this because I don't really fully understand um, CBA, but it doesn't seem like the player has any leverage whatsoever. Like,
Right.
because the team can come to them and be like, all right, this is what the tag is going to be, and this is what we perceive the tag is going to be next year. We'll pay you that guaranteed for 2 years, or you can freaking sign the tag and get paid the same thing, not guaranteed.
Yeah.
Like, both of these running backs had a fantastic year last year. Like, both of these running backs deserve to get paid.
Yeah.
When you don't think of, like, obviously Saquon's had injury history, and you can make an argument that Josh Jacobs has been kind of not so much a workhorse, but he's gotten a lot of play in Raiderland, and he got hurt like what 2 years ago. So he doesn't have injury history, but he's been hurt, because he does get used. But these guys deserve to get the money. And I think it ultimately comes down to their rookie contracts and rookie contracts in general for running backs, which is my idea. Because no, you do not want to pay a 27-year-old injury prone running back the money that he definitely deserves. But these rookie contracts are too long.
Yeah. Yeah. I think a lot of people agree that they should shorten for running backs in particular because their average lifespan, for lack of a better term, is so much lower than
Hmm.
say quarterbacks, tight ends, wide receivers. Just talking about position players for fantasy. But yeah, they should have a shorter window for signing a new contract. And what I would like to see is that I think the franchise tag thing, I don't like it in general because they can do it for 2 years. And I think it should be 1 year really, because it's just sort of
Yeah.
it's not fair to these guys, man, to string them along like that. Almost it's almost like we got the franchise tag so we can screw you. It's like it is all in our for our benefit, not for yours. Although the numbers are good, you know, but maybe not as good as they could be. So I think I would like to see him shorten the running back um, window to sign the first contract, and then if they keep this franchise tag thing going, only allow them to do it for 1 year on a running back, and all of that
Or
because
not
they
at
have a
all.
yeah, or yeah, I mean that would be a tough one, but even if they could get it down to you can do it on a running back once, but then you've got shit or get off the pot, so to speak.
I
So
think in Saquon's point of view, I think he's gonna get stuck holding the bag and not the positive one, like I think he should have signed. I think the Giants should have paid him a little bit more than the freaking franchise tag, and I bet it would have gotten it done.
Yeah, it's hard to
And
say. He wanted
because
guaranteed money. That was his stance the whole time. He said it was all about guaranteed money for him.
who's if he sits out, like what if he doesn't play? Are they just gonna go out and pick up another running back? They don't have anybody behind him.
Yeah, no, they can. They certainly can, and probably would need to. Yeah, and I doubt we see him in preseason because if he goes, I'm not preseason, but training camp.
Mm-hmm.
If he goes to training camp and gets hurt, then he's kind of screwed
But
that way too. So there's no need to take a chance, risk your body until it's actually worth something and getting a game check. So I don't think we'll see him in training camp. Of course, he won't play in the preseason, and then he's kind of at risk to start because if just because if he decides to sign, he can still sign to play under the franchise tag. That's his option as far as a contract this year. And so if he does that at the last minute, it's not like he's going to be ready to go in there game one against the Cowboys. So I think that's in jeopardy as it
mhm.
stands. So this will probably linger into a game or two of the season. And again, he can't sign a contract now. That's where probably Tank Top's coming from when he says kind of stupid because
Right.
now he can't even sign a contract. I don't know. I don't know, like if he signed the franchise tag, if he could try to negotiate a contract during the season, but most people don't do that. Teams don't do that. Every once in a while, they may they may try to re-sign or extend somebody before it's time to. But usually
Mm-hmm.
that's a guy who's played his ass off and he's so valuable to the team that it's like, yeah, let's just get this done, and then we'll worry about the other guys that are more on the fringe here. So
What explain to me what Dak did when his brother stood up and said he's gonna bet on himself. What did he play on the franchise tag or did he play he
I
must
don't
have
think
played on
he
the franchise tag, right? Or the last year of his contract.
I don't think he played on the franchise tag, but I don't recall. I'd have to look it up. That's
Okay.
a couple years back. I know he got the contract, so um, yeah. And I don't know. I don't know. I wish I did. And you'd think I would being a Cowboys fan, but I tend to not really keep track of that stuff as much.
Yeah.
So yeah. So
But
I feel like Saquon's gonna probably miss games. I would imagine.
yeah.
So
I think Josh Jacobs' situation is kind of more unique than Barkley's. Like the Giants should have Barkley should have signed and Giants should have gave him guaranteed money. He deserved it. You know, there's nobody else behind him, and he helps uh Daniels. He helps that whole offense, and he helps the whole team.
yeah.
He should have gotten the money he wanted and signed it. Josh Jacobs, in my opinion, is more interesting because they bring in Jimmy Garoppolo, right? New
Yeah.
quarterback to a new system. They have one of the best wide receivers in the league right now in Devontae Adams,
Yeah.
and they are kind of retooling their wide receiver too. So no one really knows who's going to get the ball after Adams now that Darren Waller is in New York.
Yeah, they brought in Jacoby Myers. So and McDaniels had him in New England and brought him to Las Vegas. So a good assumption that he's going to be involved.
They could they could be it could be interesting to see if Josh Jacobs misses time and what they do without him because it's always for the last few years it's always been run first, run second, and then throw third and hope we get a first down type deal.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah. I mean, McDaniels coming from a Patriot system they want to run the ball for sure, and that's why I listened to Las Vegas Insider today that said that the original plan was they didn't pick up Jacob's fifth year option. the plan was to let him play that last year out and then move on to Zamir White. What I heard today was they don't think Zamir White's quite ready, so their only
Hey,
choice
now
really,
that's my guy.
yeah, it's it's rumor stuff, but it was a good source from a writer from Las Vegas, but yeah, so if he isn't ready, then they kind of need him if they don't feel like he's ready. And we were talking earlier in chat that they got Amir Abdullah and Brandon Bolden, so it's you
Two
know
heavy hitters.
not a lot behind him. Zamir, if he's not ready, and the one thing he mentioned, of course, which I think a lot of us underrate in the fantasy world is pass blocking. That Zamir's just not quite ready. Jacobs was a very complete back, three down back, good pass blocker, and they're not ready to hand the keys over to Zamir, so they did the smart thing and franchise Jacobs. So now Jacobs is saying he's the one that said he wants to make a stand for future running backs. So I don't know if he's prepared to sit out or not, but it kind of sounds like it could be heading in that direction. So
That would be crazy after the year he had last year.
it would be crazy, but he's in a little bit better shape to do it because he's a whole year younger than Saquon. It was interesting. I saw that Saquon's birthday is February 9th and Jacobs is February 11th. It's almost exactly a year difference there. But Jacob is on the right side of it. He's 25. He'll be 26 going into next season. He could
With
withstand.
less injuries.
Right, right. And yeah. He hasn't had the major injuries. He's had nagging injuries. He's played through a lot. He's actually been pretty durable. He's played a lot of games since he's been
Yeah, yes.
in the league. But again, getting older and wants to take care of himself financially now. And but he'll only be 26 going into next year. He could easily sign a good 2-year, 3-year deal somewhere and
Yeah,
still
definitely.
have good football left in him. So yeah, he's a little more interesting because I could see him holding out actually, but we'll just have to see. It's hard to say. Um, I don't think I don't think he's their guy. He was drafted under the old regime,
Hmm.
and I think they're ready to move. They'd like to move on from him, but they just don't have what they need in place.
How are
So
you gonna move on from Josh Jacobs? Like,
yeah, yeah,
all right, Zeke is out there right now. Kareem Hunt's out there. Both of those guys are not gonna turn into Josh Jacobs.
right, right,
Who
right.
else is out there? Cook. He's rumored to go to what?
Yeah, Cook.
Jackson.
No, it's AFC East, either Miami or the Jets. I don't know what's
Right.
taking so long for it to get done. I thought Jets. I heard a real good source say the Jets, but Cook's been posting a lot of Miami stuff, and he's from that area. So I don't know if
Mm.
that's just wishful thinking or what's going on there. But no, nobody, if they were concerned about pass blocking, Zeke would be a decent guy to bring in there. And then maybe they could do a 1-2 punch with Zamir and Zeke. Hey, that'd be cool.
Kind
The
of like Tony
Z's,
Pollard.
the killer Z's.
ZZ Top.
There you go. There you go.
What a
ZZ
great band.
ZZ Top Dogs. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so that one's going to be interesting. I'm a little more interested in that one than I am Saquon because yeah, Saquon doesn't seem to have much choice. I kind of feel like Saquon maybe signs right at the end of camp, maybe misses a couple of games, and then they work him in, 3, 4, game 3 or 4 into the season. So I
Yeah,
don't know about trades. That's one thing I did not look up was can they be traded? Can they sign with somebody else? I'm not sure about that. I didn't look up the whole rules and regulations under.
right.
I just wanted to see kind of what it means right now, short term. So I didn't
Yeah,
look
and
up
I
all that.
I obviously don't understand it completely. I've
Right,
learned a little
right.
bit in this conversation, but I've never read the CBA, obviously.
Yeah, that's why I actually did just a little homework so we could talk semi-intelligently about it. So yeah, so the last guy who under the franchise tag at running back was Tony Pollard, who actually signed his, and
Dadar.
he's
He had
the
one option. That was to sign the damn contract after getting
pretty
hurt.
much, yeah, coming off that injury, he kind of needs to prove himself. He's 26. He'll be 27 going into next season. So um, I don't know. I'm scared for him because he hasn't been the workhorse before, and so they're they and on the tag they can just run the hell out of him if they want to right now.
Yep.
Um, so it's like he's got a 1 year prove it. I doubt that Dallas would pay him. I think they learned. Hopefully, they learned the lesson with Zeke. And they might let him walk, let Pollard walk after this season. Although they really don't have much coming up. So
They don't
that's
have
what.
anything like they're gonna tag Pollard. They tag Pollard. He's gonna play on that what 10.5 or whatever
Yeah,
it
10,
is.
10, 10,091, 10,091,000.
And they're gonna run the living bejesus out of him. Pretty much get the last drops of his expertise and tell him to go pound sand after doing if he even has a really good year.
Yeah, yeah. It had to be a team friendly deal for him to come back, and I don't even know that they pay him 10 million a year. That's it's the position is so devalued. That's why, as we said earlier, I really hope that they get back in there and make some negotiations so that these guys just aren't used and abused and tossed to the side.
Yeah.
And
I mean, is there another position in the NFL that is more highly needed and then they just get shit on regardless if they do well or not?
right. Yeah. Yeah, I think the average career is, I don't know, I want to say it's 3 or 4 years. When you average out all the running backs, because you
Right.
got guys that come in and they're in and out of the league within a year or two. Um, even
And you
even
get
one that,
Frank Gore that's been 10 years just
yeah, I
doing
mean
three carries a year.
he's an outlier, but they're doing well to get 7 or 8 years, and then such a high incidence of injury, and whereas receiver can go 10, 12 years easy. Quarterback, of course, can go 15 or more.
Yeah.
Even tight ends can hang in there for a good 12 years or more. So I would like to see him do something for them because it kind of stinks. These are all good players. We love them. They
Mm-hmm.
give us points on our rosters, but they don't get much respect at all from the NFL as a whole. So
I can't believe you do not want to talk about Joe Mixon signing his contract. I'm
we
gonna have to
can
take
we could talk
this.
about that. I don't
This
have any.
bull. This bull. Joe Mixon signed his contract. Wants to be on the team. He's gonna play really well. Y'all are gonna suck. Hate me.
Yeah, he's not. He seems older than he is. I think, isn't he? Isn't he just 25 or 26? He came in early too. He was a
He is
kind of a
26 years old.
26. Okay, so same age as these guys playing on their franchise tags. Well, Pollard playing on the franchise tag, Saquon to be determined.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it was probably worth keeping him around one more year. Um, it's a little different for them because you know they've got a window for the Super Bowl right now, and this guy's been there doing that, and he knows the offense, and
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, I mean, of course, it's in their interest to keep him around. And Samaje Perine left for Denver, and they don't have a lot behind him right now.
Nope.
So they got Evans and Travion Williams. Travion's undersized. Evans seems like more of a pass catching specialist slash special teamer.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as what he's done so far, you know.
Right.
Um, and Chase Brown, who knows? He could be the next Joe Mixon, but he's not ready to be Joe Mixon right now. So that was a smart signing, I think. I mean, that wasn't a bad move for them on a 1 year deal. I don't think he'll
It
be there next year.
No, I don't think he'll be there next year because they're gonna have to do the Higgins contract, the Joe Burrow contract, the Jamar Chase contract. That's gonna be look, if they keep all three of those guys, one of them is gonna have to take a team deal. And God, I would only assume it's going to be Joe Burrow. He's going to do something that like Patty did, where he did 10 years for $500 million.
Yeah.
Get a super long deal that has the ability to be restructured after a few years.
Yeah, if they're smart, they keep the core, that three-man core of the team, and then they could just rotate rookie running backs in and out of there for the next several
Yeah,
years and still be good. If Chase Brown develops and next year he's ready to do a little something, what was he, a fifth round pick or something like that?
right.
So they're not on the hook for much for him. That's probably the way they should go about it.
Well,
Um,
that kind of goes back to our first point. I mean, that is exactly how these NFL teams are running it. They're like, we'll pay the quarterback, obviously, because there's not very many Justin Herberts or Jalen Hurts and Joe
yeah,
Burrows coming out of the draft these days. And if we get a freaking top five wide receiver like Jamar Chase or T. Higgins, well, T. Higgins is barely a uh, wide receiver one. We won't get into that right now, but because he is wide receiver two on that team, um, they're gonna pay those guys to keep that core going to keep their chances of going to the Super Bowl higher.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And then they get to use and abuse the running backs if they so choose.
Mm-hmm.
So it would be nice to see that get changed. Well, let's talk real quick about DeAndre Hopkins. We had a poll today. The last I saw it was 6'2". There was a posting of an over/under. I think it was like 700 yards receiving, a little over 700 yards receiving. I think you took the under, right?
I slammed the under.
Yeah, yeah. Me and Evan were the only ones at the time that took the over. I don't know if everybody else has voted or not. So tell me why he's going to be under. I'll tell you why he's going to be over.
He's gonna be under because he's freaking old and there's no way he's going to go over 800 yards. If he does, good on him. Fantastic. Really happy. But that means he's taking balls away from their first round pick last year, Traylon Burks, and then developing other wide receivers when Hopkins leaves after the 1 year deal. I mean, like, he's literally there to be a player's coach. He'll be there in situations because, I mean, he still has enough burst to get by these crappy CBs, especially when he's going to be up against probably their CB2, I would assume. Traylon Burks getting the CB1 attention, probably, I would assume. But he's not going to go over 800 yards. There's just no way.
Okay. Well, I was looking at if he plays the full season, it's only like a little over 60 yards a game. I feel like he could do that pretty easily. The only thing that concerns me about there's no indication, there's nothing so far to indicate that he's dropping off. Um, yeah, he still did
So,
all right in that crappy situation last year in Arizona when he did get on there. But the one thing that does concern me is the fact that he got busted for PEDs, and now, of course, he's not going to be able to do it again. They're going to be testing him like crazy.
oh, yeah,
And
every week, probably.
was that keeping that level up? You
Random.
know? Yeah, right. um, yeah, was that keeping his level of play up? Or is he still able to do it without the PEDs? And sometimes it's a mental thing. I'm on the juice. I'll get out there and play like a god, but then you get off the juice, and I think a lot of times it's mental. You know,
Mm-hmm.
makes me think about the damn baseball player. Um, who was the guy from the Cubs that was like killing the home runs, but then
Sammy Sosa,
Sosa, yeah, Sosa. But then I think he stopped taking the juice and he
he
couldn't
fell
even.
off a cliff.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I think a lot of it's a lot of it's mental. So that's the only thing that concerns me about him, though. Otherwise, there's nothing to indicate that he's dropping off. And I think Tannehill is gonna really enjoy having him in the system there. And Yeah, I think he could do it. I think he's got another good year in him.
Just to clarify, the line that is the over-under is 65
Yeah,
catches, 750 yards, and 7 touchdowns.
yeah. 7 touchdowns is
That's a
definitely
little
up
high.
there. It's up there, but and on offense that we don't know how good they're going to be. They Henry's going to get his touchdowns if he stays healthy.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll just have to see. We'll have to see there. That is
6-2
yeah.
still.
So I guess I guess we added up what that comes to in fantasy points. I'd still probably take the over on it because I think he'll flirt with 1,000 yards for sure.
Okay.
I mean, AJ, he's the closest thing to AJ Brown. Burks will probably benefit from it just because of all the attention won't be on him. I think if Burks was in there as the one this year, then he'd be like almost considered a bust. But now with Hopkins in there to mentor and to take away some of the attention, I think Burks could have a nice season too. I
I
think it
can behind
I
that.
think they really if Tennessee wanted to have any kind of chance, that's the kind of signing they needed to do right there. So
I can't get over the fact that you compared DeAndre Hopkins right now to AJ Brown.
it's the role. He's been as good as AJ
Oh,
Brown.
okay. It's the
He's been as good in
role.
his career as AJ Brown. He's
I agree. I
he's
was talking
older.
like right now though.
Yeah, he's older now, but that's the role. He's going to have that role. And they probably learned their lesson and said, "Damn it, we should have just held on to AJ." But in lieu of AJ, let's bring in another guy that can do AJ kind of thing. So,
Who would you rather have in their heyday? AJ Brown or DeAndre Hopkins?
I'd say Hopkins right now
Yeah.
because that dude did it with some.
He was crazy good.
Yeah, wasn't always great teams and good quarterback play. He had a good run with Watson there, but he also did well without Watson.
Hmm.
So
I
there
would
was some
agree with that statement.
there was a lot of crap that came through there at the quarterback position. So yeah.
Speaking of this whole poll, what is this bullshit that Goofy just gives a blanket okay to all of polls from Humpty being official now? Like, what is backchanneling between these two guys to allow this to happen on an official league chat? Now, he is the guy that we have to go to get official polls. I call it blasphemy. I want a investigation into this whole thing. I
Yeah.
think you and Brandon should have to have a sit down with either both of these guys and get the behind the scenes on why this happened.
I can say it's almost certain that Goofy's not just making up the rules as he goes along. He had to process that for a second.
I was like, wait,
Yeah,
what? No.
I'm almost certain that he's not just making it up as he goes along. So, uh, yeah, that was a little different, man. I
I
think
want
it.
my investigation.
Yeah, sometimes I think that's what will piss off Sean the most, and make him and make him
I'm the only one that
make him
said
post
anything.
make him post grammatically bad things in in chat. Oh man. Well,
Moving on.
moving on. Let's talk about some trades. We got three of them to talk about. Two of them involving yours truly. So it's a shame we don't have Tank Top to talk about his part of our trade, but that's the first one we'll mention is Tank Top Mike. And I'm giving this one a try. The Cleveland Steamers. I'm giving that a try.
It's such a shitty name.
Yeah. So the trade was Cleveland Steamers received Khalil Herbert, Jelani Woods, and Take Top Mike's 2025 third rounder. In return, Take Top Mike got George Kittle. Tell us what you think.
I think that Mike got the guy he needed. He needed, I think, one more piece to get him an average of like maybe 4 to 5 points. And if everything stays the way it was last year, this guy's going to be very deep into the playoffs. I thought it was a very astute deal on both sides, and that Tank Top made the right play, and I was
Yeah.
pissed. I was like, fucking A, I should have went and did that. I was sitting on my ass over here,
He's
freaking
been
with my thumb up my ass, and he goes out there and gets George Kittle, and now the arms race
yeah.
is on. Great.
Yeah, he came to me with the trade. And he's been really good over the past two seasons getting in the championship, but that's been his weakness, I think. And Andy and Derek pointed it out. And
Oh, I don't believe that at all.
it was just days after the Andy and Derek, that he mentioned George Kittle, that he mentioned
I'm
trading for
telling
George
you right
Kittle.
now that that man probably had an idea of going after George Kittle a month ago and just got to the point where he felt comfortable to doing it.
Yeah.
And it just so
Well,
happens to be after that. To say that tight end was the only reason he didn't freaking get to the play, win the championship is kind of dumb.
no, I
Like,
didn't
how
say.
about Cup getting hurt?
Yeah. No, I didn't say it was the only reason. That's
All right.
definitely been one spot on his roster that's been tough for him. I mean, he was streaming position last year. He got lucky
He was
with
doing it so well.
Taysom Hill on a big game, but that gets old when you're that close
Talk
and
about
and you
stressful.
and you're losing matchups because you're trying to stream the right guy on the right week. So it's not the Kittle's model of consistency or anything, but definitely has um, big games, and if he can stay healthy, it'd be a good one for him. And someone in his rotation because he's still got Gesicki who went to the Patriots.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he starts doing Gesicki kind of things. Um, I don't. I think because I think Gesicki will straight up be a receiver there in with the Patriots because he's not a good blocker, but Hunter Henry is. So I think you'll see those two on the field together a lot. But it's nice to have a George Kittle in the bank, right?
Yep, it is.
So
I mean, I think it was a great move for both of you. You needed to move
yeah,
the age off, and you got running back depth which is freaking
yeah,
hard as hell to get,
yeah,
and he got the piece that he wanted. So I think it was a great deal on both your sides.
yeah. I got rid of some age, like you said. That was part of my thinking. And Jelani Woods, actually, I feel like he's a good sleeper for this year.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he was, if you look at some of the advanced metrics like I do, he was up there with some of the top tight ends last year in a few categories that are important, I feel.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a toss up with Richardson there, but a lot of times a rookie's best friend is the tight end, and sometimes they can be the check down Charlie, and
Right.
so I feel like he was one. It was just a good flyer to take. Herbert was the big one for me because I needed more running back depth. I had tried to make some trades, and ironically, I don't know, a little lesson learned maybe, but I went out trying to make a couple of big deals, offering up some big stuff, and didn't get it done. And then this comes along, and I'm like, dang! I drafted Roshan. I've got Herbert now, so I've got somebody that can start, I've got and it's on a team that runs a lot. So I was real happy to get him, and it didn't cost as much, I didn't think, because I feel like I got good value out of this, out of dumping off Kittle, and yeah, it's a win now move for Mike, and this kind of guy that you go get is somebody like Kittle, and for me, who's kind of looking ahead a little bit more, still trying to compete, but being realistic in that I need to make some smart moves and get a little bit better and hold on to draft picks.
Yeah,
um,
exactly.
so that was it. It was a good one for me. All right, we'll move on to our trade. We got the Cleveland Steamers again, and trading with the Prince here. So the Prince gets Cortland Sutton and Ezekiel Elliott, little more age there, and Cleveland Steamers gets a 25 second rounder, a 24 fourth rounder, both from the Prince, and then Michael Wilson. So I feel like this is, you could tell me, but I think you're looking for depth and looking more at a win now situation. So you'll take a guy or two that could have just that little bit left in them at the end. Is that what you
Yeah,
had
I
in your
mean,
mind?
yeah, that's pretty much it. To add depth, and they both have solid upside. I mean, Cortland Sutton can turn it back on in an instant if Russell Wilson starts throwing in the ball properly. And if Ezekiel Elliott gets in the right position, he's still Ezekiel Elliott. Like, it isn't a win now move, but it is a potentially help to win now move. You know what I mean? Like, I
Yeah.
could, with how young my team is, I could take on a little more age for points,
Right.
you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And to be honest, the trade is pretty straightforward. Like, Sutton was equal to that second round pick in 25 right now, and that's what you got. That's what you sent to get him. So you just made out equal with it. You broke even with it, and then Wilson in Arizona is kind of a crapshoot, but I think he's going to be good. I drafted him for God's sakes, and 24 fourth. I mean, if that's what it took to get the job done, I pulled the trigger.
Yeah, funny that we we were settled on the first two parts for on each side, and then I asked for that fourth, and you thought I was doing the old used car salesman thing, um, and trying to dig you for an extra pick. But honestly, I was just looking at just a little bit more. I need draft picks. If I go into next year looking like I am now, I need draft picks. So even a fourth rounder could be something that helps out. And it made it a fair deal. And so yeah, if you look at Elliott for a dart throw and Michael Wilson and a 24 fourth, I think it's pretty even. If
Mm.
he goes to a team this year, he can, he's a three down back. Not that we don't know if he'll be used in that way, but he's a good goal line guy still. And so, yeah, he's definitely got some value.
And I
He's still
just
got
need
a
him
little
to be
left in
my
him.
RB4. I need him
Yeah,
to be running back depth and maybe a flex play if needed.
yeah, yeah. Injuries and whatever else, and you've got an extra piece. So
Right.
I like Wilson. I feel like he could have been a much higher draft pick in the NFL if he'd have stayed healthy. Um, now that Hopkins is gone from Arizona, I feel like he's he's the most likely one to take over a Hopkins type of role because of his size and ability for contested catches, because they've
Hmm.
got the Smurfs there, man. I mean, freaking Marquise Brown and Greg Dortch and um, what's the other guy's name?
Mace.
No, that's your dog's name. Uh, Rondell. Rondell. They got Rondell Moore. Yeah, so he's the only guy that's got some size and contested catchability. Um, really good route runner. So I wanted to draft him a little beyond what you did, and was really surprised when you took him. That's why I was like, so tell me why you picked that guy, because I just knew he was going to be my fourth round pick for me, you know. And I was like, son of a bitch. Yeah. And
I thought he had the best upside,
yeah, you told
like,
me that.
and
Seems
his
like
avenue of playing was
yeah,
a lot.
yeah, something we talk about a lot. Like some guys have a little more value. They might not be as good a prospect, but they have a little more value because they might have a quicker path to playing time. We talk about that
Yes,
all the time. And so when you
absolutely.
said that, I was like, why the hell do I talk to this guy, man? He listens too much. So yeah, I was glad to get him in that deal. Didn't hurt you getting rid of him, but it might help me in the future. Maybe not this year, but going into next year, Arizona is just who knows what's going to happen there. But
Absolute
he's
crapshoot.
but he's a good taxi stash for next year to see what he can do. So all right, we got one more trade to talk about. We'll wrap this thing up. We have the Pooh Crew trading with Humpback. No, we'll call him Dr. Donkey.
Dr. Donkey.
Dr. Donkey and the Professor. So we've got Pooh Crew receiving Deshaun Watson and a 25 second rounder, which is uh, Dr. Donkey and the Professor's pick. Then we've got Dr. Donkey and the Professor, well, that's a long name, getting Dalvin Cook and Kendre Miller. What do you think?
I think the Pooh crew got bailed the hell out.
Again.
Like he's been trying to move Cook for months now, almost a
Yeah.
whole year.
Yeah.
And he got the position he wanted. And
Yeah.
a second round pick on top of it.
Yeah, he was not looking good at quarterback with of course, anybody would like Herbert as your QB1, but then
Of
you're
course.
staring down Jimmy Garoppolo and
He's
Trey
not good.
Lance on the
He
bench.
doesn't play.
Yeah. And yeah, he needed a quarterback. And he might have gotten one of the better ones. I don't know. I haven't talked to Ricky or Landon to see if they are just out on Watson, thinking that last year was an indication that he's washed, um, or if they just, now that he drafted 17 quarterbacks in the draft, if they feel like they've got enough now that they could spare Watson. Maybe it was more about that and getting some value back out of him. So
Mm-hmm.
uh, by the numbers, it was an even trade. If you look at keep trade cut, that 25 second might be an early one for Poo Crew, and that kind of sucks for those of us that are you know ready for him to be in the bottom four and go down in flames.
Yes,
But
please.
but he made another good move to keep going. I like Kendrick Miller a lot. I think he could be good. I think he might play sooner than later if AK gets suspended.
Mm-hmm.
Although that's looking like maybe a lesser suspension if he does get one now, since they knocked it down to a misdemeanor. And Cook might still have a little bit left in him, but I talked
Well, I
to
think I think the trade makes sense for Humpty. We were Doctor Donkey and the professor. Because like, what if he does go to the New York Jets and Hall is just put on the freaking back burner for Cook, you know?
yeah,
Or like they're splitting time or something, like or best case scenario for Dr. Donkey is that he goes to Miami and then they have two running backs. Like it was a smart move for him. I
yeah,
understand. And they have the
yeah,
freaking picks to be able to do this sort of thing, so they don't care.
yeah.
So it it was a smart move on their part, but
I mean, even
I
if they're
hate
holding him just to see if they can get a second rounder out of it. But then I would kind of wonder if they don't get a second rounder that's perceived. I mean, right now we don't know 25 what any of these are going to be worth.
we don't even know what 24 is going to be.
No, exactly. But right now the
All we know is
perceived,
that Silly Dilly is going to be in the top in the bottom three, and we'll be fine. That's all we know is that Silly
yeah,
Dilly
right.
is going to be in the bottom three.
Death, taxes, and Dilly in the bottom four. That's right. Yeah,
Yes.
that's right. But yeah, even if they flip him for a second rounder back, maybe if that's what it took to get the deal done. Because I was talking to Ian, I was talking trade with him too, and he just really kept pushing Cook, and I just kept saying I really don't want Cook, even though I need running back on my team, because Javante's probably going to be on the pup to start off the year,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm staring down a whole lot of backups, after that, and so I really needed. I could have used somebody like Cook, but even in my situation, I was not willing to pay what he wanted to get for him. Second rounder to
Right.
me is. I mean, I would have given a third rounder, but Ian wanted to talk to third rounder for Cook.
No.
So he kept on pushing Cook, and I kept on saying I don't want him as part of a deal, and that's why we didn't get one done. I think it's a big reason we didn't get one done anyway. I just feel like Cook's we've seen it every year. He plays well, but he's always one hit away on that shoulder from being on the sideline for an extended period of time, and he's getting older now.
There's a
So
reason why we know that Alexander Matterson is really good, and it's because he gets freaking playing time because Cook gets hurt,
yeah, yeah.
or else we wouldn't know.
Well, that's it for me. Good trade for both of them. I mean, they both got value out of it, and Humpty they definitely needed a running back. They were kind of like me, staring down a whole lot of backups, trying to figure out which backups am I going to put in my 1 and 2 spot. So
Yeah.
they've got at least one in Cook that goes right in there, and Miller, if he ascends during training camp, he could be He could be a surprise one or a surprise two, I'd say, running back two or something, But at least, one of those guys you're putting in your starting lineup with confidence.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Well, that is our show this week. Tank Top Mike, we love you. We miss you. And I'm sure half the league has not even watched this show because you were not on the episode. But like every other week, you know what it is. Ian, you suck.
All right.